You finally have extra money at the end of the month. Feels good, right? Like you're finally winning at this adult game. But then the weird dilemma hits. Do you throw it into investments right now, or do you crush the debt faster and take the safer win? By the end of this video, you're going to have a crystal clear rule. Exactly what your next dollar should do when you still owe money. No more guessing, no more scrolling Reddit at 2 a.m. This topic messes with everyone because both sides sound 100% responsible. One camp screams, invest early. Compounding is magic. The other screams, pay off debt first. Be disciplined. Both are right. And that's exactly why most people stay stuck. They wait for a perfect answer that never comes, or they copy a rule from the internet that was built for someone with a completely different financial life. A credit card balance at 24% is not the same thing as a mortgage at 6%. A stable salary is not the same thing as unpredictable freelance income. And a person with 3 months of cash in the bank is not making the same decision as someone who has $400 in checking and would need to swipe a card the next time their car breaks down. So this is not really a moral question, but a trade-off question. The cleanest way to think about it is simple. You are choosing between a guaranteed return and an expected return. When you pay down debt, the return is guaranteed. If your credit card charges 22% interest, every dollar you use to reduce that balance is saving you something real. On an $8,000 balance, that is roughly $1,760 a year in interest before you even get into fees or missed payments. There is no volatility, no bad year, and no market drop right after you make the move. When you invest, the return is only expected. Over long periods, markets have historically rewarded investors well, but the path is uneven. You might get great years, flat years, or invest right before a drop and need time to recover. That does not mean investing is bad. It just means the comparison has to be honest. If your debt is very expensive, debt payoff often wins because the guaranteed return is simply too strong. If your debt is moderate or cheap, the decision becomes more nuanced. Then it starts to depend on cash reserves, job stability, employer match, time horizon, and your ability to stay consistent without blowing up your monthly life. So the better question is not, should you invest while you still have debt? The better question is, what kind of debt, at what cost, and with what level of stability behind me? Start with the first split. There is toxic debt, and there is manageable debt. Toxic debt is usually high-interest revolving debt. Credit cards are the obvious example. This is the kind of debt that keeps punishing you every month you let it sit there. And the longer it stays around, the harder it becomes to justify taking investment risk at the same time. Manageable debt is different. Think student loans at a moderate fixed rate, a car loan that is not ideal but not crushing, or a mortgage that fits your income and is not stretching your budget to the edge. That does not make manageable debt good. It just means it belongs in a different category. Now add the second split. Are you financially stable enough to take investment risk right now? That does not mean rich, it means stable. If one surprise bill pushes you back into credit card debt, then investing may be happening too early, even if the math on paper looks clever. And that is where a lot of generic advice falls apart. It compares debt rate with expected market return, but ignores whether your life can absorb normal problems. Imagine someone with $2,000 in savings, $9,000 on a credit card, and monthly bare-bones costs around $2,500. That person does not really have a buffer. They have less than 1 month of breathing room, and that makes every new surprise more dangerous. Telling that person to focus on long-term compounding first is not disciplined, it is detached. Now imagine someone else with steady income, $6,000 in cash, monthly essentials around $3,000, no toxic debt, and a 5% student loan. That person is making a much closer decision. The numbers matter, but the surrounding stability matters too. Then there is employer match. This deserves its own place in the rule because match money can be hard to beat. If your employer matches part of your retirement contribution passing on, that can be expensive. If you put in $200 a month and your employer adds another $100, that is an immediate 50% lift before market returns even enter the picture. In some cases, the smartest move is to contribute enough to get the full match, then direct the rest of your extra money toward debt. Not always, but often enough that it should be part of the framework. So the hierarchy starts to look like this. First, stop the bleeding. Stay current on payments and avoid adding new high interest debt. Second, build a small cash buffer if you do not have one. Not a perfect number, just enough so one normal hit does not send you straight back to the card. For some people, that might be $1,500. For others, it might be closer to $4,000. The point is not the magic number. The point is whether a normal repair or a bad month sends you backward. Third, capture employer match if you have access to it and the terms are reasonable. Fourth, attack high-interest debt hard. After that, the lower rate debt question becomes less moral and more strategic. Let's make that concrete. Example 1. You have $8,000 on a credit card at 22% interest, and you also have $500 left over each month. A lot of people hate hearing this because investing feels productive. It feels like you are finally moving forward, like you are finally becoming the kind of person who builds wealth instead of just cleaning up the past. But this is usually a debt-first case. That card is expensive enough to overpower the investing story. And if you do not have much cash, the situation is even weaker. You're trying to grow money while paying a huge penalty to keep old spending alive. The cleaner move is a small emergency buffer first, then aggressive payoff. Example 2, you have a mortgage around 6%, steady income, no toxic debt, and a long investing horizon. This is where people start turning preference into doctrine. Some people will prefer guaranteed savings from extra mortgage payments. Others will prefer liquidity and market exposure. Both can be defensible. And this is where opportunity cost becomes real. Put an extra $300 a month toward the mortgage for 10 years, and you get guaranteed interest savings. Invest that same $300 a month instead, and at a 7% average return, it could grow to a little over $50,000. That does not prove investing is always better. It just shows why lower rate debt creates a real trade-off instead of an obvious answer. What matters is whether the mortgage is making your monthly life fragile. If it is not, and you are already financially stable, then carrying that debt does not automatically mean investing is irresponsible. The danger is not debt by itself. The danger is unstable debt combined with a weak cash position and no room for mistakes. There's also a behavioral side to this. Look, someone can be mathematically able to invest while carrying moderate debt and still hate the feeling of owing money. And that matters. Not because emotions beat math, but because consistency matters. If carrying debt makes you second-guess every move, overreact to every market dip, or abandon the plan halfway through, then the spreadsheet answer is not your real answer. A clean plan you can actually stick to is worth a lot. So here's the practical rule. If the debt is high interest and your cash buffer is weak, paying down debt should usually come before serious investing. If the debt is moderate or low rate and you have basic cash reserves, stable income, and access to an employer match, a split approach can make sense. And if the debt is low cost, structured, and not pressuring your life, investing does not automatically need to wait until the balance hits zero. That is the sequence, not because it sounds disciplined, but because it respects both math and real life. A simple way to pressure test your decision is this. If I invest this money instead of using it to reduce debt, what am I gaining? What am I giving up? And if life gets expensive next month, will I still be glad I made that choice? That last question matters more than people think because wealth building is not just about maximizing return. It is also about building a financial life you can hold together under normal pressure. So should you invest while you still have debt? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But the wrong move is treating all debt like one category and all investors like one kind of person. The smartest answer is usually not extreme. It is ordered. Remove the dangerous debt. Build enough cash so life does not keep knocking you backward. Take the obvious free money if your job offers it. Then judge lower rate debt like an adult trade-off, not a purity test. That is the real shift here. Debt is not automatically proof that you should not invest, and investing is not automatically proof that you are making progress. What matters is whether your next dollar is making your financial position stronger or just making it look more sophisticated. That distinction is small on paper, but over time, it is often the difference between building real momentum and just looking like you have a plan. By the way, if you want to know how much cash is enough before you invest, check out this video. And if you enjoyed this one, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on a path.